If you're looking for performance style and you don't want the full-blown in, that's what we got today. Brandon Hyundai has given us the 2023 Hyundai Kona inline front-wheel drive in your blue wave. This was all new for 2018. The in was all new for last year. Updates this year is over-the-air updates for the infotainment. This slots between the compact Tucson and the mid-size Santa Fe, the smallest SUV in the lineup with a turbocharged performance going against rivals like your Mazda CX-30, your new Honda HR-V, Toyota CHR, Chevy Trailblazer. The list really goes on and on. But one thing that you got to note, even though this is not the full-blown in, it only weighs a little bit over 3,200 pounds. So do you need even more horsepower and torque? Because the 0 to 60, you're gonna see in the review, it is crazy. Is it better than the rivals? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm gonna go over all the specs and details, starting now. The new Hyundai Kona inline set's very aggressive with a wide stance. You got the vent that's going to be on the top between these LED daytime runnings. The grille is going to get the inline badging, and you get a nice little honeycomb texture working down the lower bit. You'll have a little bit of air intakes down through the side. You have your side curtains that are functional with the silver that's going to house over 6.5 inches of clearance. We're gonna have the same color as the body on the fenders that are encasing these 18-inch inline alloy wheels with the inline badging. The silver goes on the lowest part of the skirt. You got a lower roof spoiler, matte black with the aerodynamic lines that go into your tail lamp assembly. And I like the quad light structure that they're copying from Genesis with an aggressive finish. You get the grille pattern on both of the sides, which are dual exhaust tips that's going to just be on one side, which makes it a little bit naked. But again, the price point value of what you're getting is great, especially when you're comparing it to the new HR-V, because the price has increased. It's also a larger SUV when you're looking at this, so it pretty much keeps it in the segment with the Mazda CX-30 and the Toyota CHR. I do like the quad light structures that are in the front too, because again, you're getting Genesis components and styling elements for a fraction of the price. Gloss black on the mirror cap, you're gonna get matte black across all your window seals and on the roof rails. A length at 165.6 inches with the wheelbase at 102.4 inches. Behind those upgraded 18-inch wheels, we're getting 12-inch disc rating for the front, 11.2 inches is in the rear. McPherson strut front suspension with a coil spring and a Torsen beam for your rear. Option all-wheel drive, and now change to an independent suspension, which will make it a little bit more pleasurable. In the reviews for my Mazdas, I always complain about how they took the independent suspension off in the rear because it's just not as athletic as it used to be. With this setup, it's very traditional, box-shaped, and it is compact. Comparing it to the rivals, this is going to be the smallest in the segment, and because of that weight being just a hair over 3,200 pounds, it is super aggressive with under 200 horsepower. Because it's the inline front and rear bumpers, these are inline specs, so it's going to be a little bit more different, athletic, and giving that performance cue, which even when you're looking at it on the rear, I know it says 1.6T. You're thinking, it's not that much. It really is. Going inside to your cargo starts off with 19.2 cubic feet. We have a storage tray underneath the floor, and underneath that we have your spare tire with a shelf and a little storage tray that's on the right side. Split fold the rear bench to a 60-40 split, max in the cargo to 45.8 cubic feet. It's not going to be the longest in cargo space because this is the smallest, but the 1.6 turbocharged engine, that's something that's going to be a little exciting. I'm going to go inside, start it up, give it some revs so you can hear it right now. The exhaust that you get out of this Kona inline definitely represents what's underneath the hood. And they back the performance with a 1.6 liter GDI turbo streamlined 4-cylinder engine, producing 195 horsepower with 195 pound-feet of torque. That's paired to a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, achieving 29 to 35 mpgs with a 0 to 60 around 7.3 seconds. The True In, which has nearly 300 horsepower, around 5.3 seconds. Quarter mile, 15.7. The True In the 13-second margin. Comparing it to the Mazda CX-30, this one's going to be just a touch slower, but the In, it's going to rip it apart. When you're comparing it against the Toyota CHR and the Honda HR-V, this one's going to be faster in all perimeters. It's also lighter, smaller, so you're going to see in the drive the maneuverability, super easy. Depending on where you live, you're never going to have a problem with this. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2023 Hyundai Kona inline as we go into the interior, go over the tech, and take this for our test. Entering inside the Hyundai Kona inline, we're going to receive 39.6 inches of headroom, 41.5 inches of legroom, bucket front seats, 10-way power adjustment for the driver. It's a black on black with the contrast stitching in red, inline badging, and you get a nice little pattern structure. 4-way manual adjustment for the passenger. Heated seats. The dashboard gets the contrast red for your air vents. You're going to get the circular on the sides, and it gives this aluminum look pattern that is throughout the dashboard as well. Coming out of the dash is a 10.25 infotainment screen with navigation. We have the pinch, we have the swipe. Click that little button there on the side right, and you can slide through here. For the passenger side, they can do their own audio or their own navigation. Click into the home button. We have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM HD radio. Hyundai Blue Link, switch it to reverse. Have full trajectory, it's just a reverse camera, and you still have your navigation here where you can toggle through there as well. You can also change the different viewpoints, so you can see for your tow lineup, and you can change different settings for your reversing. Climate control settings, a USB and a 12 volt with another USB here, your wireless charging pad in line with the leather soft contrast stitching. I like that on the gear lever. Your driving mode select, which is super cool because it makes it look more aggressive, so you can change from sport, smart, and you can just do your normal driving. Cup holders, a 16.9 ounce fits without any issues. Open up inside, it's decent size. It's a smaller vehicle, so you're not really expecting a lot of storage to be here. Inline 3-spoke leather wrap steering wheel. It is multi-function, and I like the badging that's on the lower, stressing the inline. The gauge cluster is a 10.25 digital reader. You can go through an array of information for the driver, so it does make it easier for you to operate anything in the vehicle. And a nice little feature that Hyundai adds, similar to a Porsche, is that little star. When you push it, this is your custom features. Arrange your route, audio sound system, the quiet mode, the volume for your sound system, hands-free calling device. For the door panels, you're going to get that pattern structure here. It is all hard materials pretty much everywhere. One touch up and down for your front windows. The storage pocket, you can fit maybe 1.5 16.9 ounce waters. We do have a moonroof. Let's see how I look in the back. For the back seats, I'm at 37.8 inches of headroom, 35.2 inches of legroom. It's going to be a little bit tight. There's no storage behind any of the front seats. You do get a USB port and a little storage tier there. No air vents, but I do feel the air because it's a smaller cabin. Elbows, obviously going to be soft here with the cup holders that can fit about a 20 ounce. The door panel is the same segment as the front, an aluminum texture look, all hard materials where you rest, and storage about the same as the front. Sitting into the center, headroom isn't necessarily an issue, but legroom is. I am against the front seats in the position that I'd be sitting, sharing the feet, the butt, and shoulder space. This is the smallest in its segment comparing it to the rival. So it's going to be a tight fit, but it's doable, just not for a long journey. But fitting two in the back, it's going to feel a bit sporty because the door panels are raised up the way you sit, even though you sit a little higher. But for 6'3", my dimensions, you don't have too many problems. Taking the 2023 Hyundai Kona inline out for our test run, 1.6 liter turbocharged, inline. What the hell, already gas? Man, this thing's a gasaholic. 4-cylinder, 195 horsepower with 195 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in the low 7 seconds. The True In is going to be in the low 5 seconds, but 3,200 pound-ish, look at this. It's fun. Stopping, not too bad. Turn radius, it's a small SUV. About 2 lanes. It's a bit playful. The front windscreen is large. A little bit more to my disliking, I would say, only because I want to feel a little bit more sporty, but I get the idea because this is still a compact SUV, even though it's super sub-compact. Comparing it to the Mazda CX-30, this one's going to be smaller. That one with the turbocharge is super quick, however, not as quick as the N. So whenever you're looking at this particular vehicle, you are going after performance, and that's what we're going to show you here. And you can see for maneuverability, no problem. This is what I like about these smaller vehicles. You can just get in and out of lanes without any issues. The new Honda HR-V is a great vehicle. It's just, because it's a little bit longer, it's almost the same size as the CR-V. It takes away from that fun moving around and getting quicker maneuverabilities. Because we're around 6.7 inches of ground clearance, you're gonna sit up almost like a sedan, even though this is still an SUV. As you get up to a higher speed, the road noise filters in. No dual pane windows. The sound dampening isn't necessarily the greatest, but the price point, you can't really expect it to be ultra quiet. Now, there is 3 things I like and 3 things that I dislike. Is anything more than that, I'd be buying this inline. The 3 things that I like: the inline package. I think it is awesome that you have the availability to get it. There's a downside. We'll get to that in a second. The second thing that I like is the aggressive front fascia. The 3 vents, it just makes it look more performance driven. The last thing I like I was saying on the interior, that driver mode button. It makes me feel more engaged when I see the N that's on the steering wheel, and this is pretty much the only areas that's leather. 3 things that I dislike starts off with the firm materials all over, because when you're going on a long journey, it's really hard for your elbows. The second thing that I dislike, even though I like that inline package, it's just an aesthetic package. It gives you a steering wheel, it gives you this gear lever. There's not really much more that it does for that increase from the SEL. And then if you really want all the performance out of it with the same engine, you would go to the Limited, which increases your price tag another 4 or 5 G's, which puts it in a different segment too, because you're not getting the in performance with it. But the fun that you get out of this, look at this. Once it engages, obviously, because it's turbocharged. The last thing that I dislike has to go with the storage. There's not a lot of it, and they should have added a little bit more in the door panels. There's nothing behind any of the front seats. Even this storage pocket here, it's pretty small. I get it, it's a small compact SUV, but I use these storage cubbies, but for a long journey, it isn't so bad, except for where you're resting your elbows. I would say just drive like this so you can really enjoy it. Blind spot monitoring works well. It's not that long of a vehicle, and when you're in the 7 seconds 0 to 60, I mean, you can pass somebody if you need to. You saw the maneuverability, and the windows are pretty large. They're not so sleek, so it does make it easier for you to see with a little bit more of a ground clearance than a sedan. I'd like to thank Brandon Hyundai for giving us this 2023 Hyundai Kona inline for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, what are you waiting for? Click the next video, the subscribe button, check out the details, merchandise, and website, and everything we do here at Hawkeye Rides.